What's up gamers, Lexu here with the technique guide for Diablo 4. In this video I'll show you how to utilize gear swapping. This technique can be applied to many different builds, but I'll use Ice Shard Sorcerer as an example here. Gear swapping can improve performance in boss fights, causing stagger quickly and dealing more single target damage. Let's go over the mechanics on how to blow up bosses quickly with the Ice Shard Sorcerer. Ice Shard Sorcerer is capable of dealing high single target damage, but most of their damage is tied to crowd controls. Aspect of Control provides a separate damage multiplier for each of the listed status effects applied to an enemy, stacking up to 3 times. If rolled to a maximum 35%, it multiplies total damage by 2.46 times with all 3 status effects applied. Aspect of Control on an amulet can roll up to 53%, multiplying damage by 3.6 times. Two-handed weapons like a staff can roll up to a 4.9 times multiplier. Devouring Blaze also provides a massive damage increase with some dependency on a status effect. The X in brackets means this bonus is multiplicative with critical strike damage, and critical strike damage is basically a separate multiplier to your base damage. Therefore, Devouring Blaze can be represented as a separate damage multiplier that applies on critical strike. An Ice Shard Sorcerer should have at least 80% crit strike chance with Elementalist aspect, so this makes Devouring Blaze our best passive skill for damage even without the Immobilize bonus. You should get plus 3 ranks of Devouring Blaze on an amulet for a 1.6 times multiplier on critical strike, bumped up to a 2.5 times multiplier if the enemy is immobilized. There are some other damage increases against crowd-controlled enemies, but Aspect of Control and Devouring Blaze alone multiply damage by 12.25%. This makes the Sorcerer extremely dependent on applying Freeze, Stun, and Immobilize to deal worthwhile damage. Applying all 3 status effects to elites to gain full damage is easy enough. Bosses are immune to these status effects, at least at first, which explains why sorcerers might have a hard time killing them quickly. Using crowd controls on a boss adds to their stagger meter instead. After fully staggering a boss, they are considered affected by all crowd control types for the stagger duration. According to this tooltip description, we get our full damage potential against staggered bosses. This means the damage bonus on Aspect of Control will triple dip. There are reports of the Immobilize bonus on Devouring Blaze not working against staggered bosses, but we should be getting at least the first bonus on it. Let's finally get to the weapon swapping strategy. Before engaging the boss, switch to a staff with a smiting aspect. The increased crowd control duration causes more stagger to bosses. I also have crowd control duration on my helm for a total of 88.5% with the Smiting Staff. The previous wand and focus setup had Piercing Cold aspect, which doesn't help against a single target, and Elementalist aspect, which I'll return to later. Now we can cause more stagger with Frost Nova, Deep Freeze, Flame Shield with the Binding Embers aspect, and Teleport with Raiment of the Infinite. Applying the same crowd control back to back before the duration ends causes the stagger amount to be halved. My freeze duration for Frost Nova is 5.65 seconds, so I need to space these charges out for that amount of time. I immediately start the fight with an Evade Teleport, Frost Nova, and Flame Shield. Now I need to wait out the duration on the freeze and stun to avoid the stagger penalty. Deep Freeze is great for wasting this time. After Deep Freeze is over, another Teleport and Frost Nova can be used for the full stagger amount. This quick rotation of skills is enough to stagger the boss for me. Additional gear swaps can be done once the boss is staggered. Switch to a staff with Control aspect for maximum DPS. The Control aspect on the amulet becomes disabled by the stronger effect on the staff, so an amulet with Elementalist aspect can be swapped in. Make sure you wait a couple of seconds without using any skills before swapping, else the game won't let you. Congratulations, you can finally nuke the boss and deal almost as much damage as other classes. You might not even need to swap in the extra damage against bosses near your own level. I'm able to kill some bosses during the stagger phase even with the Smiting Staff still equipped. That's all I have for this video. There are still more gear swapping techniques to optimize DPS further. I might cover the rest if I end up making an Uber Lilith strategy video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future D4 content. You can also ask any questions in my Discord server or stop by the livestream to come hang out. Peace out and happy slaying.